Okay. So what is it about GMO that you see you see on Google or on the news? You go search Google images for glyphosate, Roundup, or for the GMO, and you'll find all the Frankenfood. You'll find images of children. They're very willing to use children, babies, as example to imply that if you feed GMO or foods that have been raised using good technology, good safe technology, cause autism or cancer, you'll find this big theme is Frankenfood, like it'll somehow turn you into a monster. It's very evocative marketing and imagery, and it's very clever too. I mean, it's very clever because a picture paints 1,000 words, but what they're tapping into is our people's deep psyche, right? In our psychology, in our neurobiology, we're very programmed for fear and disgust, and so the marketers of these activist groups are very smart, and so they've tuned in to our natural fearfulness and our natural loathing of things that disgust us. So that's why all this marketing is so dramatic, and like it'll kill you, it'll give your children cancer or autism, it'll deform you and all kinds of craziness, but that's absolutely baseless, but it's so sticky, it's incredibly sticky in our brains. So several things is, one is we're wired for the negative, the negative is very powerful for us. Good things in our life can just sort of happen and we can benefit from them and be thankful for them. We don't have to pay that much attention for them. But negative things, we're very tuned in. Like if something bad happens, it's like we have to react or we might die. The old analogy is like if you hear the whispering or the movement in the grass, you should think about a lion. Don't be thinking about a rabbit, And so it's very ancient in us, evolutionary, to be wired for the negative or to be fearful and high alert. The other thing is that is great recall in our memory. When we insert things that are dangerous or fearful or very negative, they're very prominent in our recall, our memory. So that's why I say they're very sticky. There's an old, very powerful, not old, but maybe it's old, I don't know. But anyway, I read about it from Daniel Kahneman and Thinking Fast and Slow, a great book. He talks about the cockroaches and the cherries, and as a way to illustrate the power of negative. It's overwhelming positive. It's negative is overwhelming versus positive. So if you take a bowl of cherries, beautiful red cherries, and you put one cockroach into the bowl, that you'll be disgusted by it, the negative of that cockroach walking around the cherries. Now you contrast that with a bowl of cockroaches, all jumping around on top of each other, a whole bowl of them. Then you put one cherry in there, one cherry. That will do nothing to create a positive for that bowl of cockroaches. So I think it's a good way to think about it. The negative is very, very powerful, and so the anti-GMO, anti-technology and farming people have created their modus operandi is instilling fear and disgust in people. And so that's why you see all their images of tomatoes and corn and full of syringes as an example. And now you know. Now you know the reason behind it is to create fear and disgust so that you will have a visceral reaction to farmers wanting to use technology in food production. That's it. That's their goal. And they're very good at it. Okay. Psychology. So that's part. Now you can understand why the marketing is like that. I hope you can also understand that it's completely baseless. These technology of breeding has been with us for 10,000 years, and we've been fine-tuning it. And I mean, even I talked about Dr. Norman Borlaug, that was he did his breeding techniques, and those after it were nowhere near refined like what we can do today. I mean, one of the common ways of creating new cultivars and hybrids was to use radiation and mutagenesis, where you just bombard the genetic material and then you scramble everything and then you hope for a good outcome. Today, our geneticists are extremely targeted. We'll talk about CRISPR, but gene editing, where they can cut and paste exact genes into the target species now. So what I would say is, previously we've been consuming genetic material from foreign organisms every time. I mean, for a million years, okay? And our genetic selection has been going on by man for 10,000 years, and we're fine-tuning it today where we have the ability to do exact gene editing within a species. So there's nothing to be scared of, and this technology has been proven to be safe. And when you sit back and think about it, then I think you can understand that, yeah, okay, this isn't anything I need to be fearful of. And then we're going to talk about the good of it, because it's not only you don't have to be fearful of it, it's like you need to embrace it and encourage more of it. But okay, so where does all this anti-science biotech coming from, and what's motivating so many people to sort of devote their life to this? So I think this is very interesting. I've been thinking a lot about it. It's like I think fundamentally it's people have a deep need for meaning in their life, and this is, I believe, the foundation of it all. Man does not live by bread alone, and that's from the Bible, 3,000 years ago. But man does not live by bread alone. That means that man needs more than just food. We're social animals. We need love. We need care, and we need to be stimulated intellectually, and we need to be challenged. We're, as Jordan Peterson would say, we're built to carry a load, and you should pick up the heaviest load you can carry and stumble forward, right? And because that's purposeful, and there's meaning in picking up a load, and there's meaning in like there's a desperate search for meaning. People instinctively, we must have it. It's a life-giving force, That's what it is. We desperately need meaning in our lives. So now you think about, all the anti-biotech, not all, but I'm going to generalize and say all of it's coming from wealthy, affluent nations, and a lot of young people who have never been so affluent in the history of mankind. I mean, we've never had such wealth and such security, safety. Life has never been so good for so many in the history of man. And so we have these wealthy nations and populations that are generating a lot of this anti-biotech. Now, why the hell is that? Well, I think as you remove yourself away from survival, every day you got to get up and you got to work 3 jobs, and you got to get, you have to make ends meet, and you have to feed your family. There's meaning in life right there, like omnipresent, right? persistent meaning and drive forward. And that has been the history of the world. You know, we've been basically starving forever, and poor as dirt. You know, that's the other thing about humanity. We've been so poor and so disease ridden and so hungry that there was no opportunity to have such an indulgence about, you know, being a foodie and being only organic or natural, and then being an activist against, you know, so this is this. Okay, I think I'm trying to make the case here that there's meaning to be found in, if you don't have anything else going on in your life, then to become part of a tribe that advocates against technology and farming, and hearkens to a very natural, organic way of living, could be very enriching and rewarding for people psychologically. And I think this is a big part of what we have to address. So think about it. If you could belong to a club of passionate people, and many of them are young and vibrant and intelligent, and young people by their nature are very driven to be sort of socially conscious, right? This is normal. They're very high in openness, open trait, and very altruistic, would like to do good in the world and make a difference, and so now they grasp onto this area of anti-technology and farming, and it's very fulfilling. I could become part of a tribe of very passionate, high energy, interesting people who are advocating against technology and food. I could give voice, or at least participation, to this, so I could be active in it. I could also share my only natural and organic food that I'm buying and cooking with, so I get to share it on social media and sort of have this dynamic of the social, which we're desperately social creatures, and we want to be liked and loved, so this helps me within this group to be affirmed. And so it's also virtue signaling, you know, which is also very compelling, you know, seductive, because if you can say, look, I am not only am I trying to save the world through, you know, and the environment and butterflies, and I'm against intensive corporate factory farming, and I'm against, you know, farmers, you know, using technology and ruining the world and the environment. And so not only am I against all of that, but look, I'm eating organic, natural foods, and they're costing me 100% more to do it, you know, in many cases more than 100%. And so now you not only have all this virtue built into what you're doing around your food, but you also now you can become the martyr too. And you think how powerful that is if you can incorporate being a martyr into your psychology, into your worldview, or the view of yourself, let's say, is more accurate. Because in the martyr part is that I am actively making sacrifices. Yes, I'm actively making sacrifices through my wallet, through foregoing my income. You know, 50, 80, 100% more I'm spending on food. And I'm willing to do it because of my belief system is such that I'm honoring it by doing this. So people, I think, have psychologically have built a belief system around this around natural, around organic, and around, well, it's an archetype story. You can play this narrative where it's good versus evil, which, you can't underestimate the power of psychology, and these ancient archetypes well, they persist for who knows how long, 20, 30,000 years, because they're so real. And so now you play in this, that I'm also in a larger drama of, little versus big, David and Goliath, right? So that plays in small farms, small group of hyper conscious consumers against the big whatever, that's powerful. And then also this idea that it's good versus evil, the good organic, back to nature, good versus evil, large farms, intensive agriculture, agriculture that's using technology, you see. So this narrative is like incredibly compelling and incredibly satisfying, like it could fill a big part of your life. And so we need to understand it, because the reason why we need to understand it is because, the consequences is that it's terrible unintended consequences, and Niall Ferguson, the great author, says, well, history is unintended consequences. That's it. And here we see it playing out. All these good people with great intentions and great passion, but it's misdirected. And the consequences can be absolutely unimaginable for our ability to feed the world and to protect the environment. And it's such a cruel irony, because these wonderful people that are enrolled in this organic, natural, foodie culture, their talent and their love to try and do something good, it's, if it could be directed and let's say towards the real opportunity, right, to save the environment and feed humanity, could be so powerful to help bring that to reality. So we need to be able to understand so that we can have a chance to convert people, convert their thinking. And so I would like to say that a big part of the opportunity is to see, we don't exactly need more science, because we have so much science, and the science keeps going on and on and on, right? And we need it, and we need it, and we need it. But it isn't the rate limiting constraint, It's not the rate limiting constraint. The rate limiting constraint is the emotional argument for intensive agriculture that's using innovation and technology. We're missing the emotional piece, and the emotional piece can be best represented by offering something of deeper meaning than what's already available. And we'll finish with that in a little bit, but that's how I want to finish today's discussion about offering something more meaningful. Okay. History, GMOs, psychology, unintended consequences.